Who will win the coveted crown of overall profit leader this year at Sports Memo? Multiple handicappers are in a running, and we took the current top three and packaged them together through the rest of the year for one low price, saving you thousands. Our current leaders are up a combined 139 units of profit so far in 2022. The Gold Sheet is up 55 units, Teddy Covers is up 47 units, and Jesse Schul is up 37 units. There are over 200 days left in 2022, and a 90-day all access is priced at $7.49 per handicapper. For a limited time, we will toss in the rest of the year free. Yep, get our current top three profit leaders for the rest of the year, coming out to just $2.89 per day per handicapper.
Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report, Monday, April 25th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers. Teddy, happy Monday morning to you. Week of the NFL Draft coming to the center stage here, buddy. How you feeling?
Well, let's start with this, man. You don't practice that welcome in. It's like every time we do a show and I'm trying to be you, I spend like 5 minutes before going, welcome in. Get that exact welcome in. You just nail it every time. I appreciate that so much, Drew. I had a really crappy weekend, man. I spent the weekend in front of the toilet, unfortunately. Last Thursday, I'm like, Kara's got food poisoning. She ate some bad takeout. Well, it wasn't food poisoning because Isaac got it on Friday and I got it on Friday night and spent 2 days coming out both ends. And that wasn't good for the clients. It wasn't good for the weekend. It wasn't a whole lot of fun. But I feel better today. Thank you. I'm sitting up. I was able to, the one thing I was able to do, this weekend was not a weekend where I sat in front of the computer and researched NFL draft. But when you have a show Monday morning and you're going, hey, the draft is this week, what did I miss? I was on the phone all morning. I talked to a couple of different guys, guys who we respect and guys who I trust to give me good info. So I will pass that information along to you as best I can, because obviously the NFL draft, have you heard, Drew? They're calling this the single biggest event in the history of Las Vegas. There's going to be more people in town for the draft than there's ever been for anything. It's going to be pretty big, I think. They're shutting down the strip. It's going to be something. It's already started.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, Teddy. I mean, first off, thanks for the welcome in, comments there. But you're the guy that knows Vegas more than anybody on the whole channel here, and you spent time there. Do you buy that? I mean, bigger than March Madness, like the opening weekend, really?
Yeah. You can't get a room in town. I mean, there's nothing. They've already started the surge pricing for the Uber and Lyfts. You know what I mean? On Monday, the draft doesn't start till Thursday. The surge pricing is already here. I'm trying to think of the biggest events. The NBA All-Star game was pretty big. This is bigger. There's a lot of activity in town. This town is absolutely packed. And here's the irony. Okay. We talk about the biggest books in Vegas. We talk about Circa. We talk about South Point. We talk about Westgate. And I have nothing but respect for all three books. Okay. I'm not going to say anything bad about any of those three books right here. Circa, South Point, Westgate. That's the three leading books in Las Vegas. Circa's draft props aren't up yet. They're coming up at noon today. Westgate's draft props aren't up yet at all. And I talked to the Westgate risk manager, Art DeCesar, this morning. He said, yes, we expect them up before the draft. So when we talk about the leading book, 2 of the 3 leading books in Vegas have basically no draft props up yet. The ones, again, noon today, we're going to see the second book. And Westgate, I don't know when they're going to post. Probably today at some point. But when we talk about Vegas as the center of the sports betting universe, that's not the case for the NFL draft. And it's also worth noting that here in Las Vegas, betting shuts down 24 hours before the draft. The last 24 hours, you won't be able to bet this stuff before. So it'll shut down Wednesday, 4:00 local time. Beware, if you're coming out to Sin City for the draft, get your bets in early, and maybe get your bets in elsewhere.
Well, and Teddy, it makes sense. I mean, this event is ripe for fraud. Isn't the right word, but it's ripe for inside information to be
absolutely
used for self gain, where the information isn't out there to everybody, where hard work isn't putting you ahead. It's just, I mean, I'm at a loss for the right words here, but I can see why they're doing that, Teddy, because there could be some situations that aren't necessarily, on the up and up, let's say, for betting. And yeah.
Let me just give an example. So back in the day, Vegas would always post odds to win the Academy Awards. Okay. But they were for entertainment purposes only, because there were people with knowledge of who was going to win the Academy Awards. And in theory, if that information got out, those people would be able to bet those, make those wagers. So the odds were out there, but they weren't actually taking bets on who's going to win the Academy Awards or the Oscars or any of that stuff. So there's a history here in Vegas of being aware of the voting stuff or the drafting stuff, not the stuff that takes place on the field, but the stuff where somebody knows something. And Vegas is definitely reticent to get involved when somebody does know something, because, as you mentioned, information can leak more than a little bit. And the last thing, I mean, we've already seen a huge move. When the first numbers came up, okay, Trayvon Walker was 20-1 to get picked overall, the overall number one. The kid out of Georgia, the edge rusher out of Georgia.
Right.
He's 20-1. You could have had him widely available. I don't know widely available, but books had him at 20-1. Now he's the favorite. Okay. To go number one overall. So that's a lot of liability for a sports book. They don't get two-way action on these props. It's one-way action. It's not like, all right, well, if the money comes enough, we'll find value the other side. It's not like a point spread where you say, well, this line should have been 10 and now it's 14.5. There's clear value. The wise guys are coming on the dog. You don't get that when it comes to NFL draft props. You don't get the two-way action even when you move the number. So I can understand the reluctance of the books here in Vegas to post some of these, but the fact that it's draft week, it's Monday of draft week, and we still don't have numbers up at several books is not, it speaks to the book's reluctance in this particular market. They're getting beat. That's what it tells us.
Yeah, and so they're not going to keep putting up numbers. I get that. I mean, it is a business, guys. And one more thing here on where we've come as an industry, Teddy, before we start breaking down, maybe looks to get down on betting the NFL draft, guys, is when I first got into this, Teddy, it was strict. The Nevada Gaming Commission, it has to be attributed to a box score. You know what I mean? Like, that was the only thing you could bet. And if you wanted to bet anything else, like Gatorade, poured on the coach or the Super Bowl, anything of that nature, you had to go offshore, the sports books in Costa Rica and whatnot. And Teddy, we've even seen it with FanDuel. FanDuel putting up the color of Gatorade in the Super Bowl. That happened this season. It happened. And you could go bet it. I couldn't believe it. And it's cool. Well, I don't know if it's cool to see. It's cool for me. I don't know how other people feel, but that these sports books are pushing the limit. Hey, we're going to do it, and until you tell us not to type deal. I'm surprised by that, Teddy, because I've always felt like it's like a bar pushing the limit when you're supposed to shut down at 1 a.m. in a college town and you're sitting there selling drinks until 1:20. Hey, what's going to really happen? That used to happen at Auburn. And, are you going to lose your liquor license or not? It's that type of deal, and sports books are really pushing the limit. It's kind of surprising to me, Teddy.
So I remember, it's funny you bring that up, because I remember, of course, my initial foray into this business was I used to manage a sports bar in Ann Arbor, right? And people would bet at the sports bar, and that's how I first got into betting right out of college. And of course, it was a Saturday night of football Saturday. Place was packed, and you know how the spring forward, fall back. The clock at 3:00 it becomes 2:00 again in theory, so you can have an extra half hour to serve people. Anyhow, so the cops came in and like, we don't want you to. Yeah, so the cops came in and were like, we don't want you to do that, and we're like, well, we can legally, and they're like, sure, you can legally, but we don't want you to do that, which means that if you don't want your bar to all of a sudden, every night they're going to be out the door checking everyone's ID, the cops will be there. Do you want to cooperate or you want to not cooperate? I know a situation where, sure, we'll give up this extra revenue to cooperate with the popo and make everything happy in that regard. So it can and does happen in that regard, where you want to be a cooperator because it's better for you than an antagonizer, to get every last little bit that you can. there are bettors out there that are crash and burn bettors. They'll bet everything they can bet until the book kicks them out, and that'll be that. And they'll worry about what to do for the next book. And if they see an edge, if they can find Trayvon Walker at 20-1, they'll bet him 20-1 and 15-1 and 10-1 and 5-1 and 2-1, and have no hesitation at quote unquote going for the jugular. My experience has always been that you're better off having the bookmaker working as your friend than your enemy. You're adversarial, but I've never been a guy, this book posted a bad number, let's go pop it 4 times, and then they don't want my action anymore. Much better off going to the counter and say, hey, you got these 2 backwards. And then you have some leeway with the book. And you may get 1 bet down on some bad number, but it spoils your relationship with the book long term. And, a lot of these, certainly when you talk about the DraftKings and the FanDuels of the world, that we're posting, DraftKings and FanDuels both, Drew, are books that are really, it's all about creating volume. It's all about, it's not necessarily about, they want to be first to market on a lot of things. They want to post numbers on a lot of things, and it's just about generating volume. And that means they're going to be on the wrong end of some of these. And their business model is, they get enough action to withstand that. Other books that don't have that same business model can't withstand the same level of hits that DK and FanDuel have. Take when they put up numbers first, some of which are bad, some of which gets popped, and they have to book accordingly. But the books with the deepest pockets can make mistakes and overcome them fairly easily, like the DraftKings and the FanDuels, who've both been very aggressive at pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, it's a land grab for those two right now. And by the way, have you seen DraftKings stock, Teddy? It was as high as 70, 6 months ago? It's $14. I mean, talk about losing some money, man. They're up against a lot. Any quick thoughts there on the DraftKings stock?
Let's put it this way. Buy low, sell high. It's 14 right now. Where's it going to be next year? Where's it going to be in 2 years?
If the owner keeps paying himself $200 million salary and the stock price keeps going down, I don't know if it will bounce back. But I own it, Teddy. I hope it goes up, but we'll see. I'm not exactly putting all my money into it. We'll see how this goes, because it's a high competition, and it's low. It's a high acquisition rate to get people. They're having to pay a lot for marketing and for content, and in terms of making money in the sports book. This, it's not exactly the most profitable industry in the casino. It's one of the best bets out there for the people walking into the casino.
All of which is true. That being said, look, if you're day trading, it's a whole different story. But if you ask me, where is this stock going to be in 2 years or in 3 years or in 5 years? It's hard for me to envision it trading much lower than it is. I think, so in theory, and I'm not a stock expert. Don't buy stocks based on my recommendation. I'm a good sports bettor. I'm not a stock tipper. But it certainly makes sense to me to be involved in some of these sports books. And the opportunity to buy something that was sitting at 70 that's now at 14, in my mind, you're getting a team that was +3, but now they're +11. Same team. I'm interested.
Teddy, let's get into, I guess we could say, somewhat sports betting. It's at least betting, and it's about a sport, talking about the NFL draft. It's not exactly, it really isn't. It's a guy walking across a stage. That's what we're really betting on here. It's not exactly athletics.
Just let me jump in real quick.
I mean?
The single worst thing about the NFL draft, in my opinion, is betting the NFL draft is having to watch the NFL draft. Okay,
I know. It's so overrated.
I can't sit there through these guys who, I just can't, who haven't watched, it makes me crazy. And everybody's the next Hall of Famer who gets drafted. Watching the draft is unbelievably boring, and I'd much rather see the names just kind of pop up. That's my take. And of course, I'll have to be on the strip on Thursday night too.
Well, that would be fun, actually. See what's going on. Are they doing it on the boats and going out there on the lake in front of the
it's a whole dealio. I don't know exactly how it's getting done. I'm supposed to be up there. I'm doing a show with Morency on Thursday night, and he's in Vegas this week. I'm supposed to go up there and meet him. So I'll get a chance to go out on Thursday, and if it's as bad as I think it's going to be, I probably won't go out the rest of the weekend.
Well, Morency's a fun time to be around, Teddy. Are you ready for that? Morency in Vegas sounds like it could be a wild time.
Sure. I mean, it's not like the first time I've hung out with Morency in Vegas. He lived out here for a year. Me and him used to hang. So We're just doing a show. I'm not going partying with Morency after the show. I'll tell you that. Thursday night, I got to come home and work. I got to be doing on air Friday morning. It's not going to be one of those nights, Drew. Not a chance.
Okay.
Especially after this last, I'm still recovering. I'm still recovering from COVID, and now I'm recovering from a freaking, the stomach flu, and
oh yeah,
I doubt it. Yeah.
Okay. No, it sounds like a fun time though. I'd like to be there. Enjoy it, Teddy. Gabe Morency, good time. Teddy Covers, good time. And out there on the Las Vegas Strip, hit him up, guys, if you see him. We got NFL draft here, Teddy. Number 1 overall pick. Just a couple days ago was Adrian Hutchinson going off as the favorite. Now you're right. Trayvon Walker minus 175 at FanDuel. I'm seeing a minus 150 in the offshores. Hutchinson now plus 150. So big move here. We get Evan Neal plus 1,600. Malik Willis plus 50 to 1 here, plus 5,000. What are you thinking number 1 overall pick? How do you want to do this in terms of going down the list?
So let's talk about number 1. And then there's a couple guys I want to talk about right off the top. They're movers. All right. Okay. And then you can go wherever you want. All right. Because there's 2 guys that stood out to me when I talked to, again, I do my best to I have a couple of sharp guys in my Rolodex. Rolodex. That's a bad terminology.
That works.
Whatever.
In your cell phone?
Definitely strong info from this morning. But let's talk Trayvon Walker. Again, Walker was 20 to 1 to be the number 1 overall pick. Maybe 6 weeks ago. And now he's chalk, which speaks to how these numbers can and do move. Okay, 20 to 1 to minus 175. Plus 2,000 to minus. What has Walker done? Nothing. What's happened? The markets decided they liked him. And from all indications, it looks like the markets are on the side they liked him. The Jacksonville Jaguars appear to have decided they liked him. And hence the big. Now, what do we do with this info now? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. At minus 175, you can still bet it, I guess. If Hutchinson goes 1, you'll be pretty disappointed. But it really looks like Walker's going to be the number 1 guy. There is significant liability on the books out there. Again, anytime you're paying out 20 to 1 wagers, when there's not two-way action, on these bets. This is going to be a bad number 1 overall draft choice for the books, and maybe that's the reason why the Circus and the Westgates haven't posted, didn't post as early, because they don't want to get burned on these 20 to 1 shots that are actually going to go number 1 overall. And Hutch now looks very likely to go number 2. And of course, he's the hometown kid who went to Michigan. Now he played for the Lions in theory. Although Thibodeau could go number 2. You can't be shocked there either.
Yeah, I mean, that would work out perfect for the Lions. If they're able to get kind of the Michigan guy, maybe the guy they wanted anyway, if they were the number 1 pick, might put some more, ticket sales might go up, Teddy. I don't know if that's really part of the process for an NFL team, but you can see why it would be a good scenario for the Lions if it does work out this way.
Sure, absolutely. And it's not like Hutch can't play, All right.
Right.
Yeah, you're maybe not the number 1 overall pick. All right, you're going to be number 2 overall pick, so be it. But certainly edge rushers and offensive linemen likely to be the story at the very top of the draft. This is not, obviously, you guys have heard it 1,000 times. This is not a year where the QB market is particularly attractive for bettors or for teams in that regard.
But Teddy, we are seeing, a lot of the mock drafts, the Todd McShays, the Mel Kipers going defensive end, defensive end, defensive end. The first 3 picks right off the board, defensive linemen. I mean, you could see the push here towards quarterback being the most important, Teddy. And then the second most important position group is putting pressure on the opposition's quarterback. We've kind of seen that in major college football and the NFL, that if you can do those 2 things, 1, have a good quarterback, and 2, kind of make your opposition's quarterback be as least, I guess, potent against your defense, that's the best route to go for winning football in the NFL and major college football. And we're seeing that happen with a NFL draft where the quarterbacks aren't necessarily thought well of in this draft. We're seeing them go defensive line right out the gate.
Sure. And then the other thing is the other thing that appears to be attractive so far in the projections that we're seeing is obviously quarterback's always number 1. All right, quarterback, and this year there are no quarterbacks at number, the top. So then you have the edge, you have the pass rush, but the other thing you're seeing is the opposite side of that pass rush, which is the tackles, and the offensive linemen are also going to be well represented at the top of the draft. And we talk about the most valuable position groups. Your offensive line is going to go right there with your edge rushers, which is going to right there after the quarterback position. Although one of the things that it looks more and more likely, it looks like receivers over in the first round has been a popular draft prop, and for good reason. There appears to be a fair bit of wide receiving talent in this year's draft, and I'm seeing nothing but over money coming on the number of wide receivers taken for the first round. So even though the very top of the draft is going to be offensive linemen and defensive linemen, the depth in the first round really comes at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, spot on, Teddy. And we've seen it for the last couple of years here. I'm thinking the learning curve is a little bit less for a wide receiver. You can make a stronger impact earlier on with that top-notch athletic ability. I don't know. That might be something to it. At least I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head here that other GMs, particularly teams where you just have like a small need at the wide receiver position, it can make a big impact like year one with these top wide receivers. Teddy, what other
Go ahead. Last thing about wide receivers, let's not forget last year. Okay, Cincinnati, all right, the defending AFC champs.
Yes.
Who had the choice? Do we pick a playmaker or do we pick an offensive lineman to protect Burrow? And they got basically ripped by everyone. You can't pick a playmaker. You need to protect your quarterback. Worked out okay with the playmaker, and they don't make the Super Bowl last year without Jamar Chase. So clearly, the trend in the NFL is find guys who can create in space, and this year's wide receiver core certainly has plenty of guys who can do that. The next group of NFL playmakers. Let me give you a couple here, Drew, that are the headlines. All right, for where stuff is moving. All right, if you want to make bets right now, and that's really what I'm trying to do. If you're looking to make bets right now, after all this stuff has happened, two guys stand out in terms of guys. One guy moving up the draft board, one guy moving down the draft board. Let's start with the guy moving down first. That's the safety Kyle Hamilton, who you can still find will not be drafted in the top 10. You find him over under 9.5. His number's gone up. But Kyle Hamilton plays a position at safety where you're not allowed to take him real high to begin with. And he ran a 4.6 40, which means he's not going to the top. He's just not. All the money's come against Kyle Hamilton in the last week, and we would anticipate more of that between now and Thursday. So Kyle Hamilton over average draft position or not to get drafted in the top 10. That's one that absolutely stands out to me on Monday morning. The other one is Sauce Gardner, who has done nothing but move up. While we're seeing Hamilton drop, we're seeing Gardner, the kid out of Cincinnati, the cornerback, move up. I'm seeing as high as now in the box, as high as number 4 to the Jets. He may well be the first non edge rusher taken in the draft. So Gardner under draft position is getting juicy because the markets know it, but this is one scenario. When the markets get juicy, all right, when you have to lay extra vig, it's not like a point spread where it can turn a winner into a loser. All right, you have to lay minus $2 on some guy. If he gets drafted 4th, you still cash your ticket, just to lay more to do it. So it's not a point spread scenario where the line move can turn a winner into a loser. You might find that with some of the over-under receivers taken or over-under cornerbacks taken in the first round. And as I said, the over-under receivers has been bumping up, where it goes from 5.5 to 6 to 6.5, and now boom, you're over. You're over pushed or turned to a loser if it lands on 6 as the number moved. But when it comes to draft position or over/under on draft position, line move, the juice is a cost to bear, but it's not going to cost you winners versus losers. So
I like it,
Gardner under draft position, Hamilton over draft position. Those are the two that really stand out as of today on Monday morning.
It's like the MLB market, guys, not exactly like the NFL, on a Sunday with the point spreads moving. It is the juice. Good stuff, Teddy. We got so I'm seeing here in a bunch of mock drafts. I'm going over 2 right now and kind of comparing them. One I like, Jordan Davis, the defensive tackle for Georgia. I'm surprised he's kind of, in the 19, 21 range. In his counterpart there on that Georgia defense is, arguably by some accounts going number 1. We're also seeing 3 defensive linemen from Georgia projected in the first round. That might be a record. I'm not really sure off the top of my head. Those are some things kind of jumping out to me, Teddy. Also the quarterbacks, depending what mock draft you're going at, seeing where they're projecting them. Some people have Kenny Pickett going first. Others have Malik Willis. I've even seen some with Desmond Ridder at the bottom of the first round. What are you thinking here? Anything on the Georgia topic, and what about quarterbacks? People always interested in quarterbacks in the first round.
Yeah, let me talk about quarterbacks because I'm more up on the QBs than I am on. I'm sorry, I didn't get who are you talking about for Georgia? Let me just double check that.
Looks like we got of course,
Jordan Davis. Yeah, because I saw him early on as high as 13 to Baltimore. As high as 13 to Houston. But I have not seen lately on Davis as to what direction he is moving. The quarterbacks are fascinating here, and it all starts with Carolina. Okay, what does Carolina do with that 6th pick? All right, we all know the Panthers are hopeless at the QB position, but Carolina has 1,000 needs. All right. And QB is one of them, probably the most important one of them, but a quarterback with their offensive line and their receiving core isn't going to be any better than Sam Darnold was last year. Might be worse. And I don't know that Rule's coaching for his job this year. Not yet. They paid him so much money, but maybe he is. But it's a tough spot for Carolina. And I have no inkling. I have no feel for what the Panthers are going to do with the QB position, which makes it difficult for me to do anything with these quarterbacks. Because in theory, all right, I've heard Pickett's the most NFL ready. Pickett with the tiny fingers is the most NFL ready of the group. And when you're a coach like Rule and you're coaching for your job, you can't bring in the Malik Willis of the world. You can't do it. You can't have the project that's going to be ready in 3 years because you're not going to be there when he's there. So someone like Pickett to go be the first QB taken as opposed to Willis or the kid out of Cincinnati, Ridder, is to me one that makes sense. But if Carolina doesn't take Pickett at 6, then Pickett might drop like a rock. You might not see him till the 2nd round. Because there aren't many teams like Carolina that are going to be drafting a QB in an effort to be decent this year. The Panthers are unique in that regard with a coach who's already on the hot seat, situation that is difficult, and they need to show improvement right away. Hard to do with rookie QBs, especially with developmental rookie QB.
Yeah, Teddy, I think there's a couple ways to look at this. One is, when you start talking about quarterbacks, first off, a lot of people interested and a lot of people know the names, have watched them in college football. So there's a lot of opinions out there. And something in the NFL draft, it only takes one NFL GM, slash coach who's ever making the decision slash owner, the combination usually of all 3 of those to make them go off the board. So if one team falls in love with a quarterback, that's how they go early. And we've seen that happen before. It's just to your point. I mean, yeah, the Carolina Panthers need a quarterback. Are they really going to put this top draft pick that they have, a valuable pick here, into a guy that a lot of people think, the whole roster of quarterbacks coming into this NFL draft aren't exactly top-notch guys? I mean, they might be, who knows? This is a really volatile handicap projecting quarterbacks into the NFL, but there definitely isn't a Trevor Lawrence, profile out there, at least to the masses. I don't see Malik Willis going number 6 to the Carolina Panthers. I don't think he's ready. I don't think the repetitions are there against solid defenses in college football to really project out. Plus the fact he's not consistent. He'll make a top-notch highlight throw, and then the next throw is at the guy's feet. Like, I watch Liberty play a lot. I don't see it with Malik Willis. Kenny Pickett, really good in college. I think that he projects, as a above average, backup quarterback in the NFL. Do you really want to pick that and as a top pick in the NFL draft? I don't think so. Desmond Ridder, I mean, the accuracy wasn't always there against the better defenses. Here's the one where I think that there is, quote unquote value. I don't know if I would, that word is definitely overused in this industry, but if you're a gambler out there and you're wanting to take a shot, swing for the fences here, I got one for you, Teddy. Matt Corral, 20-1 to be the first quarterback taken, coming off of injury, which of course the medical side of things, it's gotten a lot better in recent years. A lot of these knee injuries, ankle injuries, whatever the case may be, you can get back ready to go in well under a year. He brings mobility, he brings accuracy, he brings the stats against top defenses in college football. I don't know. If a team out there, if these Malik Willises and Kenny Pickett's don't go early, maybe towards that bottom of the first round, maybe Corral's the first quarterback off at 20-1, worth a shot.
Stranger things have happened, but the problem is that much like the Texas Tech quarterbacks back in the day before Mahomes, when you come out of college running a gimmicky offense, that tends to, and it's not like it's a crazy gimmicky offense, but
yeah, and different defenses. Different defenses they're facing.
Yeah. There's worse bets to make than that one. But again, a 20-1 shot is a 20-1 shot. It's not likely to hit. It could hit. But what I went back and looked at some of the worst drafts for quarterbacks. You have 2013 where E.J. Manuel, Geno Smith, Mike Glennon, Matt Barkley, Ryan Nassib, Landry Jones, none of whom did anything in their NFL careers. 2007, you had DeMarcus Russell and Brady Quinn and Kevin Kolb and John Beck, Drew Stanton. Those are all the first 2 rounds. It get worse after that. Trent Edwards and Troy Smith and Tyler Thigpen and Matt Moore. And none of them did a whole lot with their NFL careers. This, from a QB standpoint, might be one of those kind of drafts. If I'm any team other than Carolina, and maybe even if I'm Carolina, I'm not taking a QB in the first round. I'm just not going to do it. There's too many questions. And it's not like there's so many great QBs out there. There's still teams that want a QB for this season. So it's like free agent market's real at the quarterback position. But if I'm taking a QB with my first round draft choice, that's your franchise player. If you screw that up, you're putting your franchise 4 years back. And you can't make that mistake. It takes 4 years to get through a bad first round draft choice to quarterback. Because for 3 years he sucks, and the 4th year you're still dealing with him. Maybe it only takes 3 years to go through a bad first, but it sets your franchise back years. Whereas if you go for an edge rusher in the first round and it doesn't pan out, you're not setting your franchise back years like you do with the QB, who has to get the playing time, has to get the chance, has to screw up as a rookie, or as his first year as a starter, has to get another chance after his first year as a starter. You can really push your franchise way back when making reaches at the QB position.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Teddy. And in the first couple years after the draft pick, if you pick one of these top defensive linemen and they don't pan out as like one of the top defensive linemen in the NFL, a lot of times they're still contributing on special teams, getting out there. Whereas if the quarterback doesn't pan out, it's a total waste. You know what I mean? So it's even more risk with the quarterbacks than it is with a defensive lineman. And it kind of works into the equation as well. So, hey, Teddy, awesome stuff. I know we're up against it time-wise, man. Did you want to throw out any other movers, any other things you're looking at the NFL draft here?
I mean, that's basically what I had for you guys. And I apologize for not having more. I did the best I could. I talked to some of the sharpest guys I know. So I really hopefully gave you some good info today. And something that you can still bet on right now. And of course, we'll do another show next Monday. We're going to talk draft recap. We're going to talk how we expect the betting markets to move next Monday. And then we'll see what happens after that. Maybe we'll do a couple shows here and then shut it down for the summer. But hopefully we be able to give some good info during this time. And it's been fun, Drew. Always love talking NFL draft. It's a good topic, even though there aren't a million great bets to make.
Absolutely, Teddy. And yeah, guys, we'll be back next Monday. NFL draft recap. It's actually an important show for the opening line report because there will be some movement in the markets, the NFL season win total markets. Yeah, Teddy. I guess second final word.
Yeah, this is the only thing that's going to move the markets between now and July. The only thing that's going to move the markets at all is this draft. And then after that, the markets will move and they'll sit. And then July will start, tipping again.
Absolutely. Guys, hey, reply below what you're wanting to hear on the NFL opening line report going forward. Your thoughts here on the NFL draft. All welcome. For Teddy Covers, I am Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk next Monday.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.